I used to create animations cell by cell, just like Bambi. Welcome to Bog Panda. Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on social media. And joining me in a non animated fashion, as always.
I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. For all the drink cucks out there, we have a Baja Blast tonight. And you can find me at Official Pagan on all social media. But more importantly, do you know what you guys can find? The world's shortest podcast, but there's a secret to get to it. The secret is you have to like, subscribe, and leave comments on this video. Then, and only then, can you unlock the completely free and already attached to this channel, Hard No, which is the world's shortest podcast. And if you want to delve a little bit deeper and unlock a new secret menu level, why don't you order some of our merch and wear that? Because watching Hard No while you're wearing our merch makes you better than other people.
The world's worst hidden Easter egg is hard no on the Bog Panda channel.
Shh, they have to unlock it.
That's right. You got to unlock it. It's super hard. Yeah. No, we're going to do just kind of a quick one today. I've been going through and there's all sorts of media around the house that I've been promising to digitize for a long time, and I've really never gotten to it. Well, I've gotten to it now. And in the process of doing that, I came across a couple treasures. I had in a previous show at some point, I think I had mentioned to Mike or maybe post show chatter that, hey, I got some animations I did on the Amiga back in the day, and I think I've got them on tape somewhere. Found them, so we will include links to both of them. We'll probably let them run somewhere on the screen while we're talking about it too, so you can see it that way. Um, but I've still the versions you're going to see today are not the final, not the director's cuts versions because this was all created in a 640 by 480 world, and in the process of it going to videotape and being pulled off of videotape and all those types of things, I think done some stretching and some things that I can get a kind of a cleaner, better resolution copy. But the ones I got will certainly give you the spirit of what was done. And so did two of them. So before we kind of go into all the exciting details and how these were created, what was your reaction when you saw these two little treasures, Mike?
I was impressed. So you had mentioned this to me before. I didn't know if I was ever going to get to see it or when that would be, and really didn't know what to expect from it. You just mentioned you had done some little animations with Amiga, and that was kind of it. Like you just kind of kept it vague as to what this was going to be. So I was really impressed with it. So my animation background, for anyone who doesn't know, I actually have a degree in computer animation. So I have a special technologies degree, which is an associate's in computer animation, and my teaching accreditation for college level teaching for art and design. So I've actually done a lot of animation, including hand drawn cell animation, doing it one frame at a time. And it's the worst thing ever. I would rather beat myself over the head with a hammer than do that. It was the worst ever. So when, I know that, you did this on a computer, but you did it at a time where the computer is not going to automatically fill in frames and things like that for you. So I know a little bit of the pain that you went through making this. I thought they both looked great. One is kind of a Simpsons fan film, which I wasn't expecting at all. Not that you've ever said anything disparaging about The Simpsons, but I don't think we've ever really discussed it. So I didn't know if you were into The Simpsons in any way. And the other one, and I mean this in a positive way, so I hope that's how it's taken. It reminded me almost of like a Monty Python skit, like the little animated skits that they would have, that it had that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, and a big fan of both Python and Simpsons. So that was part of the rub there, and part of it was just, boy, I really want to kind of try this animation thing, and where it kind of came from is I had gotten a Rock Gen, which is a very inexpensive piece of equipment for the Amiga that would allow you to take your graphics created on the Amiga and blend it together with video. So a lot of it, and you used to see this. Well, most of our listeners probably didn't used to see it, but back in the day, for like if there was like a homeowners association or a condo association or some building that would have uh, some sort of monitor up where it was like a running list of here are the events for the day or here are the the early TV guide kind of things on cable and those types of things. Amigas were used pretty heavily for that because you could go ahead and create that on the Amiga and then overlay it where if it was you could have a video back behind it and overlay the content or run credits or whatever you wanted to do. And the Genlock was the piece of equipment again that was ridiculously inexpensive that would let you blend that Amiga stuff. You just had to pick whatever color zero was, which was the first color in the palette you'd be working off of. That would be transparent, and then you'd work on all the other colors. Or you can use none of color zero, or pick a color for color zero that's not present in your material, and you can do what I did, which was create these animations and basically just record them. So that's would have been the process on the Genlock to fire it off to a VHS tape. So uh, my things have gotten a lot easier to do all of this stuff than back in the day when it was almost chiseling on stone to get these things done. But it was a lot of fun. Deluxe Paint, which was the primary paint package for the Amiga, I was a big fan of it. I really enjoyed working with it. It's nowhere near the feature set of anything today, but at the time it was pretty cool, and you could do these things. You could start with, okay, I've created this picture of Bart and Maggie, and duplicate it a bunch of times to create additional cells, and then go in and start to make modifications cell by cell to get it done. So the first one, hopefully playing now for you to view, folks, is Bart buys a bazooka, and that is basically, as you can see, the tale of Bart aiming a bazooka at Maggie, Maggie plugging it with her pacifier, and it blowing up in Bart's face. Um, and that was kind of a fun one to do. And then so that was that's actually I think the first one I did and then put to videotape. And then the second one, Head Wars, was taking like screen grabs off of TV, which I think because composite tended to run only black and white on the Amiga for certain things, but for whatever reason, my sourcing input of all these heads were black and white photos. David Letterman, Dan Rather, Wayne from Wayne's World, Spock, and Bill Clinton. And so we did a series of things of just those disembodied heads flying around, taking each other out, kind of in a chain event, Python-esque. Rube Goldberg a little bit on that. But pay attention closely to that video, folks, because there's just all sorts of action going on there for you to keep an eye on. There's a little duck in the pond of water swimming around as all this stuff is going on. And that took a little time to put into place. But did that for fun. But they were really cool to do at the time, and at the time it's like, wow, that's really really cool. This is something today, basically two prompts to AI, and you have something that's 100 times better resolution, a lot more interesting. But at the time, ended up being pretty cool. So has re-inspired me to get. I've got an Amiga 2000 and an Amiga 500, and I need to probably get at least the 2000 up and running again somewhere. And the interesting thing I found in getting ready for the show, going back to what was the name of the Genlock I used and all that, is there appears to be some way that I might be able to utilize a Genlock as a pathway to feed my Amiga signal into a regular monitor versus your options are very limited in terms of you couldn't even go to a VGA monitor with the Amiga. So HDMI as a connect, not even close. So we'll kind of play around a little bit with that. And if I get that resurrected, and then my sound package to Sonics comes back, and there may be some stuff coming out of that as well.
Very nice. Now, just out of my own curiosity, what got you started on that? Just having the ability to do it, or did you specifically set out to, you know, dabble in animation in some way?
Well, the it some of it was driven by the Amiga was noted for its ability to do some pretty good stuff with video early on. I wanted to do a little bit more with video, and when I saw that the barrier to entry for some basic stuff was not particularly hard, there used to be something that's called, I assume it's still around somewhere, a video toaster, which was an additional card you could put in the Amiga that really amped up your ability to do a lot of stuff with video. But even with just basic paint package and Genlock capabilities, you could be pretty dangerous and do some things. So I got the Amiga because at the time it was multitasking. It was a great game machine, and I didn't have it that this was a long time ago, time where the urgency of having high quality office products wasn't that high. The Amiga met that pretty well. They never really had what you would call a killer word processor and that kind of stuff. Um, so it just opened the door to me because I like doing graphic art and all that. Fell in love with Deluxe Paint. Could do fun things. A lot of the Amigo demos would include animations and things to show off the capabilities. And so it's like, how did they do that? I wonder if I could do that and try some of that.
Very nice, very nice. So are we going to see if you get everything up and running a new Kelly Tool directed animated short in the near future, maybe?
I think so, or maybe something we can work into the Bog Panda intro or pieces like that, which I can spend 2 weeks on doing something that would take 15 seconds in our current video editing capabilities, but maybe a thing. Yeah, I think if I can get her up and running again, it'll be making its way into to Bog Panda one way or another. So that's for sure.
Very nice. Very nice. So, in general, are you a big animation guy? Do you watch a lot of cartoons or animated movies or anything like that?
Um, so not super passionate about it, but things come out that I do get that I truly enjoy, whether it's kind of the What If series on Marvel was obviously very cool. Way back in the day, Danger Mouse, a highly underrated cartoon, is I was another big fan of. Um, and then things like Attack on Titan, that I believe there is actually some sort of live action version of that available, which would be pretty awesome to see. But the animated series for Attack on Titan was um, a disquieting but interesting watch. So I think I think I'm kind of content first on that. That if there's material that comes through, I don't really kind of start saying, oh, I want the next animated thing. But I have found a number of things that are animated that I truly enjoy. Where do you land on that?
So I really so even though I do part of my degree is in animation, I didn't take that because I wanted to be an animator. The reason that I went that route is at the time that I started college, I'm old. At the time that I started college, for a lot of video production related stuff and audio production related stuff, they at that time didn't yet have like a traditional associates, bachelor's, master's kind of step up program like that. So you had to get an associate's degree and then combine it with something else into a special technologies degree, which was the equivalent of a bachelor's at that time. While I was in school, they started adding bachelor's and master's programs, like more traditional ones, instead of these weird combination degrees. For me to switch over to that program, though, I would have lost almost all the credits I had already taken, and I was like halfway through college and already looking down six-figure debt from that. So I was like, yeah, I'm not starting that over. I don't need to add even more to that, more zeros to that bill. I'm good. Um, so I finished up what I had. The reason I specifically chose the animation portion of it though is because you had to take video production class and audio production classes for both of them. So I really wanted to learn to produce my own music because studios sucked. Here's the thing about recording studios. I have this history of hating recording in studios, and now it's commonplace for people to have home studios or just record themselves in their bedrooms. At that time, though, it really wasn't. And studios charged you by the hour. So it behooved them to not do a good job for you when you were in there because they wanted you there as long as possible. So recording process was arduous and sucked. And I knew it didn't have to be, but I didn't know how to do it on my own. So I wanted access to these audio programs because they had these like big engineers come in. So like I got to study under like multi-platinum Grammy winning producers and engineers and stuff like that who would come through the college, including Alice Cooper's live sound guy was one of the guys. He taught me the basics of recording and everything like that, and all the way up to Jim Gallagher, who's won an Academy Award. And I was lucky enough to play on one of his solo albums that he put out. He's won Grammys and he won an Academy Award for audio engineering and everything like that. So it just gave me the widest range of things that I could get my hands into because I knew moving forward with what would eventually become Pagan, I wanted control of everything. Like I knew I was getting ripped off. I knew that every project I was involved in, like people were trying to rip you off and trying to just take their piece of it. So I knew taking charge of things was the only way to go. That all being said, I've always loved animated movies and cartoons and things like that. Of the many, many things I collect, I have animation cells from classic cartoons and things that I grew up with. That's one of the many collections that I have. I don't have any of them hanging up anywhere. I just have them in books, like big binders of them. And I have, Ghostbusters and all the shows that I grew up watching. I have the original animation cells. I have original sketches that I got from people who worked on the shows and things like that. Different things along those lines. So I do love animation, but it wasn't really what I was setting out to do. The last time I animated something actually involved Kelly. When our radio show ended, I didn't want to stop and I didn't want to have like a gap in between shows. So I started doing something on the Pagan YouTube channel called Fireside Chats. And it was only on the YouTube channel because I didn't know what I was going to do yet. After that, my guitar player and friend Christian, he and I had started a podcast shortly afterwards, but there was a few months in there where I was doing just on the Pagan YouTube channel this short podcast. And for the visual element of it, whoever the guest was, I made a little animation of them, and that would go up on there. And Kelly was a frequent guest on there, so there's an animated Kelly on the YouTube channel. But other than that, it very rarely comes in handy my animation skills. But I am a fan of animation, particularly the old cell-based animation, although I absolutely hated making it because even at the time when I was in college, 1,000 years ago, when I was in college, computer animation already existed. So as we were sitting there, literally hand drawing frame by frame, taking a picture of it, and we didn't use film because it was so expensive, we had to use videotapes. And videotape, unlike film, you get this a little bit with film too, but not like you do with videotapes. When you're recording onto videotape, it's not exact. You can't just start and stop on an exact frame the way that you can with film. So you get frame slips. So you'll go and this happened all the time. They would literally allot us like a lab and we would be in there for 15 hours, 20 hours straight through and recording things for our shorts that we had to turn in. It was extremely common that when you got done and watched it back, there was frame slips that ruined the entire thing. If you were lucky, you might be able to line it up and just fix that spot and it won't look too bad. But more often than not, you had to book another lab day, literally 15 hours straight, do the whole thing over again. And to help each other out, we would be our own voice actors in each other's shorts. So I can't even tell you how many voiceovers I did throughout my time in college. I was in college for 5 years. So throughout the 5 years in college, I can't even tell you. My favorite, though, and I wish I had the animation to include in this. My friend did a series of shorts because he locked in and like this, and we all did this. This was the smart thing. If you came up with a character that people liked and was easy to draw, you would lock in on that and do like a series on that, which some people didn't figure out and had to start from scratch on everything. But you could reuse frames of animation and things like that when you're reusing the same characters. My one friend came up with a talking sperm, and I was the voice of the sperm. And after doing, I don't even know how many of these shorts I did, dozens of them though. I really had that sperm voice down. That was second nature for a while, doing the sperm voice. So I miss that.
Well, as
You
we
didn't know
wrap
we'd
up
end up
this,
on talking sperm, did you, sir?
yeah, yeah, as we wrap up this show, I'm giddy with excitement of all the sound bites I have at the tail end that I'll likely use in future animations.
As well you should.
I got that sperm voice down. Seems like a strong candidate, not for a t-shirt, but possibly for an animation. We shall see. Cool. Well, we just want to kind of update on that. If there are any Amiga folks out there that want to share some of your war stories with Deluxe Paint or anything on the higher end in terms of running this out or comments on the video, I'd love to. The animations would love to hear it. And thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.